What's up, guys? It's Johnny here from Retroplay Games, and this weekend I topped the Grand Archive Regional in Toronto, Ontario. Let's talk about it. So this season's regional, like I said in the intro to the video, was back up in Toronto, Ontario, and the venue was Claw Me Baby Games. So you're going to find them at the corner of Yonge and Finch. It's a pretty awesome venue. The upstairs reminded me a lot of Japan. There's tons of claw machines in there with cool prizes you can win. They've got the little coin push machine. And then down in the basement was the actual TCG venue. Huge selection aside from Grand Archive Pokemon singles, lots of One Piece singles, and I saw they were carrying the new Elestrals TCG. I haven't tried anything related to that. But there's a bunch of locals, tournaments, and other stuff that's happening there. Well-known member in the Grand Archive Discord, so definitely check them out if you are in the area. Okay, so I thought I would do a deck profile for this. I'm just going to preface this by saying that I am by no means a professional Grand Archive player. Most people, I think, from the channel know me as, hey, this guy opens a lot of really cool stuff and gets cool cards. But I do like to play competitively, and honestly, I am so pumped for the results of this tournament. I usually go in with mild expectations because, again, I'm not in the same league as True Champion or any of the other awesome Ascent players out there, but I did well. So I thought I would go over the deck that I played. I know that there's probably more optimized versions out there, and I mean, feel free to have a discussion in the comments about it. I mean, I'm always active in the deck list discussions in the Discord and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, if there's any suggestions or anything people want to add, I saw that the Oceania Nationals happened, and a Fire Guoja aggro deck also topped. So surprise, Fire aggro Guoja. Probably should have mentioned that previously as to what I was playing, but anyway, let's dive into the deck profile here. It's my first time doing something like this, so hopefully everybody enjoys. So first we're doing Fire Guoja, obviously Fire Guoja aggro, taking advantage of the Fabled Ruby Fatestone. And then we have Guoja level 1. Everybody probably is familiar with what she does at this point, and then Guoja 1 gets us into the Fabled Ruby Fatestone, which does transform into Suzaku when you get enough quest counters. At the beginning of every recollection step, it damages both champions, so it is kind of a race to victory. Like, it's kind of I guess what you would call a glass cannon. Either you're going to kill the other person spectacularly really quickly, or you yourself are going to die spectacularly really quickly. I am running Guoja level 2 in here, just because I found that in some of the longer matchups that I find myself in where I'm slowed down a little bit, the extra damage that I'm taking just kind of accelerates my death. So I put Guoja level 2 in both for the additional life bump, and then also the fact that you can negate an activation against a Fate Stone or Fate-bound object, so you can, protect Suzaku from any mishaps that might come his way. We're running a Grand Crusader's Ring for our draw. We are running the Portentous Tengu. Nice foil there. Shout out to the bro at Regionals that allowed me to pick this up. I was super pumped about that. It's basically a backup charger, but you get a quest counter, which is great because essentially we're trying to race the quest counters as fast as possible to get into Suzaku so that we can just have a huge explosive turn to bring about victory in the game. So we're doing a Fire Resonance Bauble and a Water Resonance Bauble. I didn't bring the Wind Bauble because I thought that it was going to be probably less represented in the meta. I figured we were going to see a lot of Diao-Chan Fractals, Water Fractals. There's been some aggressive Fire Xander and Fire Lorraine lists that have been running around that I've been seeing in some other events topping and taking victories. So I thought that Water and Fire were going to be the most represented. We're running a Terrafring because we are often getting smacked a lot if we're in the ally matchup, so I want to make sure we can buy ourselves a little bit more time with the Terrafring. We're running a Safeguard Amulet because that just helps a lot against the Fractals matchup, as well as if we're in the mirror, you know, we're going to avoid taking a little bit of damage where possible. Viridian Protective Trinket attacks our opponent for doing stuff on our turn when they are activating water cards. And then Impact Hammer because we want to be pushing as much damage in a turn as possible. And then also the on attack where we're damaging ourselves is going to give us a quest counter, which is awesome. So it serves a dual purpose. And then for the main deck, I'm running 4 copies of Arthur. Arthur is insanely good. Like, he comes in, you can have him enter rested, and then he's immortal. So you're guaranteed to get to do something with it the next turn. He can pop through a Stalwart Shieldmate or something like that that's on the field that's going to stop you from being able to go full aggro the turn you play him as well. And then, of course, when he's rested, other allies you control get +1, which is just amazing for some of the other cards that we're running. I did take a more ally-heavy approach with this deck, just in case I was going to run into... I've seen Lorraine Robo Wind allies. One of the guys at our locals is kind of doing Water Diana allies, and I just wanted to have more utility against the ally matchups, just in case. We're running 4 Heated Vengeance. Whoops. Heated Vengeance is great. You are taking a damage every single turn with the Fate Stone. So basically every turn but first turn, you're going to be smacking for 5 with this, which is absolutely crazy. You don't get the class bonus, but I mean, that's beside the point. It would be really cool if you could get that, because then you're going to be getting another quest counter, but all that damage is going to start to pile up and add up too quick. Heated Vengeance is great though. We are running 4 copies of Vermilion Decree. Vermilion Decree is amazing because you're going to be able to deal 3 damage to champion. You're going to be able to do 2 damage to up to 1 target ally. So again, that's going to help you get through those Stalwart Shieldmates if the opponent has dropped those. And then because of the way that this card is worded, you're choosing 2. So there's 2 instances of damage happening. So Vermilion Decree is going to trigger a quest counter twice for you, which is great. You do also have the ability to draw a card as needed. This can be kind of useful in the matchups where there's like Lunette or Gildas. You can force the balance off of it. It's just a great utilitarian card, and every single card in this deck is fire element, so we're never going to have a problem hitting the imbue requirements. Next, we're running 4 copies of Coiled Fatestone. This card is super good. It's a good consistency helper for the deck, so discard 2 cards at random, and for each fire element card, which is every card in our deck, discarded this way we get to draw cards. So, you know, for some of those more awkward opening hands, or when we're trying to dig to find like that last little bit of push damage to close out the game, this card is great. Also, with the Goja bonus, you pay 1 as a spell, deal 1 damage to each champion, so that's going to trigger a quest counter for you as well, which is awesome. It doesn't enter hindered, so you can do this essentially right away when you play it if you need that extra little bit of damage, or if you need to again look for other cards that are going to help you win the game faster. Next, we're running 4 copies of Dire Requiem. This card is bonkers, especially when you can pull it off with an Arthur on the field. You're going to be getting 2 Direwolf tokens. Ideally, you want to be hitting that class bonus where you're banishing a fire element card. And we do have some ways of dumping fire into the grave to make sure that we're going to be able to pull this off when we see it. Yeah, with an Arthur on the field, like, Arthur can swing for 2, and then these are going to hit for 3 apiece if there's nothing standing in the way. So it's an 8 damage turn minimum with the Dire Requiem going off. Sometimes it's possible to do it twice in a turn, which is just, again, it's crazy. The card is so good. They do die at the end of turn, but like, don't really care about that. And actually, that can be kind of useful. Like, it comes up with the Tristan matchup where Sadie doesn't have anything to trigger the agility if the Direwolf tokens die, so it can be a little bit useful. Running 4 copies of Baby Red Slime. Everybody should be aware of what this card is by now. Once again, this is kind of a way, like the Coiled Fatestone, to tune some consistency in the deck. And then with an Arthur on the field, this is hitting for 4 when you trigger the on attack. So you're going to be be able to dump one to the grave. That's going to fuel your Dire Requiem. Then you will get the +1 to attack, to hit for 3, and then to hit for 4 if you have an Arthur on the field. So really a great card outside of slimes as well. We're playing 4 copies of Searing Truth. This card is great. Deal 2 damage to target unit. So once again, this can remove that pesky Stalwart Shieldmate that's sitting in your way. I like to see this in my opening hand and have it available to materialize into Guoja 1 and then pull out the Fabled Fatestone, and then we're going to pre-rec Searing Truth, so that's going to deal 2 damage and trigger a quest counter. Then the Guoja bonus gets us a quest counter, and then the Fatestone itself is going to trigger, and we're going to take a damage and then get a quest counter. So it's a 3 quest counter turn, like right off the bat before even Recollection, which is awesome. We are running 4 copies of Rococo. On enter, influences 4 or less, deal 2 damage to target champion. Great, so that triggers a quest counter for us. It can swing for 1. If Arthur's on the field, it can swing for 2. You generally aren't going to have a problem getting your influence down to 4 or less. Like, we're not running Creative Shock or Cremation Ritual in this deck. We're just trying to jam cards out as fast as possible, and often there's going to be a Rococo, and, you know, you're at minimal influence in order to trigger that to go off. So that's awesome. Again, speed running those quest counters where we can. We're running 4 copies of Flamewing Fowl. So if it's attacking a champion, it gets +1. So it's hitting for 4 natively with the class bonus, and then with an Arthur on the field, it hits for 5. So just an absolutely bonkers ally, coupled with that Arthur especially. I really like the Flamewing Fowl. And a lot of these allies that we're playing are also 1 health. So the Baby Red Slime, Rococo is 1 health, the Flaming Fowl is 1 health. The Direwolves don't really matter because they don't hit the grave. But it's nice to have, you know, this big beat stick on the field where the opponent is kind of forced to put some resources into dealing with it. Because even without Arthur, it's hitting for 4, so chances are that's going to get cleared. And then that's going to hit the graveyard too, once again, fuel our Direwolf token creation, as well as Suzaku's resurrection element, which I didn't really talk about that with the material deck, so I can go back and talk about that at the end. If you're not familiar, I'm sure you probably are at this point. So Fatestone of Unrelenting, on enter as a spell, deal 1 damage to target unit. It does enter hindered, so you can't just plop it down and then banish 2 fire element, transform it, and wake it up. It's pretty sweet though. Actually, the other Fatestones too, I didn't show the flip side of what they are. So Cheetah Bound Fury is what this transforms into. Sorry, like I said, my first deck profile, so we can go back and take a look through those. On hit, it's a 2/1 first of all, so again, one of those potentially 3 damage allies if we have Arthur on the field. On hit, you can banish Cheetah Bound Fury and return it to the field under its owner's control, which is then going to come in and do 1 damage to target unit. So it's going to trigger an additional quest counter for you, which is great. Got these double sleeves, kind of annoying to have to, oh, I'm going to flip this over, oh, I'm going to unsleeve it, and unsleeve it again, and then resleeve it, and resleeve it again. If you're playing these, maybe double sleeves is not the best route to go with here. That's the one thing, like, this is a fun deck, but the double-sided card mechanic does get a little bit tedious when you have to flip stuff over. We're playing 3 copies of Clumsy Apprentice, so on enter, deal 2 damage to yourself and draw a card, so that gets you a quest counter. That gets you a card to help you dig deeper to find some of those damage pushing cards that we want to get through. It's really great. With Arthur, it hits for 2. And then it is another one of those 1 health allies, so again, we can hit the graveyard really quick. Chances are good this is probably going to get cleared off the board. We're playing 3 copies of Embertail Squirrel. Once again, we can discard a fire element card to the grave, so it helps fuel our Suzaku. Dire Requiem. And then when you do that, it gets +2 attack until end of turn. So again, this is another potential 5 damage swing ally if you have Arthur on the field when you're playing it. And also, again, the 1 health where it's probably going to get dealt with because it's not on enter where you're doing that. Like, I thought about Blazing Bowman. but he only gets the on enter to do the +2 damage, whereas the Embertail Squirrel can just do it every turn on attack. So I think this is really great. Don't think I've seen anybody play this yet. Really cool card, really enjoyed it. And again, I went for more of the ally options in my deck, just to kind of make sure that I was able to deal with some of those potentially more ally heavy matchups. We're playing 3 copies of Suzaku's command. This just makes Suzaku hit like an absolute truck, and if you pull this off while you are swinging with him, he's going to be coming in for 8, and then the damage is unpreventable. So it's like, that's your game-winning turn there. If you have Suzaku transformed and you can swing with the command, it's great, it's fast, it's awesome. Definitely give it a try. We're playing 3 Broken Promises here. As an additional cost to activate it, you're sacrificing a Fatestone item or a Fatebound ally, and then this is going to allow you to draw a card to memory and put a quest counter on your champion. So again, early game, if you're playing the Coiled Fatestone, use this to, cycle through, get the 2 cards from the Coiled Fatestone. Then Broken Promises, we're sacrificing that Fatestone, drawing a card into memory. After we're pushing the damage with it, like, it helps a little bit with the consistency to filter through the deck. You can also use this to sacrifice Suzaku. So I guess let's take this opportunity since I didn't flip it over before. So Suzaku is a Fatebound when he's transformed into Phoenix form. He hits for 4, he's got Spell Shroud, but this is a skill, and it's an additional cost to activate, like it doesn't target. So you can actually swing with Suzaku and then use Broken Promises to sacrifice your Suzaku, banish 3 cards from the graveyard. When you do that, his on-enter allows him, or his on-banish allows him to come back into the field awake. So you can then swing with him again, which is just insane. So that's 8 damage right there off the Suzaku, plus you're drawing a card into memory. You're getting a quest counter if that's even relevant. At this point in the game, you're probably getting close to winning or dying before you're going to be able to have to go through the entire quest counter cycle again. But yeah, so there's your show of what Suzaku does, and then Broken Promises, super good card for multiple reasons. Consistency, getting the extra damage out of Suzaku is just nuts. Maybe 4, I like 3. We're running 3 copies of Blazing Throw. This card is great. You get the Impact Hammer out, you swing with it, deal 2, and then you can Blazing Throw to deal additional 4 damage. So it's not uncommon to be able to push like 15, 16, or more damage on the turn that you're trying to take the game. Blazing Throw just helps you get there a little bit quicker. I didn't think 4 copies was necessary. Like, I don't necessarily need to see it turn 1 because we're not playing it for at least a couple of materializations down the road. But when you start thinking about the math as you're drawing cards and getting through your deck, like the option to present lethal happens a lot faster than you think it might. We're playing 3 copies of Lava Plume Fatestone, so it's got fast activation, which is great, and then on enter as a spell, it deals X unpreventable damage to target unit. So if you do have some other Fatebound Fatestones on the field, you're going to be able to push a little bit of extra damage, get those quest counters, and then you can pay 4 to transform it, which we're not going to forget to talk about this time. And it is going to transform into Firebird Trailblazer, which is a beast. So you can use Suzaku's command on it, but you're not going to get the full additional +4 damage off of it. And then on attack, it becomes a Hasty Messenger where you can discard a card if you do draw a card. So super good. There's a little bit more ally play than normal because of having the Fate Stones, so they have their own utilitarian value, plus they can also transform into allies themselves as well. And then while we're on the topic of allies themselves as well, let's go back and take a look at the Coiled Fate Stone so I can show you what it does on the flip. So you need to get 3 age counters to flip this over. It doesn't really come up for me, but it's a 3/3 ally that says your opponents can't recover. So actually in the Fractals matchup, there's a lot of Bandage Wound and Fast Cure. Same with the Arasana matchup. Fast Cure is really popular. Using the herbs to recover is really popular. Banishing Spirit is really popular to recover, so this just turns all of that stuff off. Turns off the Luxem if I didn't already mention that, which is super helpful for some of those decks that are relying on recovery to stay in the game long enough to see you run out of gas and then kill you. Where did I put the sleeve for that? There it is. It's clear. Can't see it. Okay, I think that covers all of the cards. No, it doesn't. There's still a couple more left here. So the last two cards we're going to be talking about in the main deck is 2 copies of Focused Flames. So this is going to help you once again to clear off some of those bigger threats, the larger health threats. So a balanced lunette that's going to stop you from swinging in with your allies. You're going to be able to clear that off even if it's balanced with the Focused Flames. It's just going to help you break down, again, some of those more protective barriers. Like maybe you're going to have that Stalwart Shield made, and this is what you're going to use to deal with it. It only costs 2. It deals 4 damage. Super good removal spell. And then we'll talk about the sideboard here. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I was fiddling with my deck in the backseat of the car as we were on our way to the venue. I get severe analysis paralysis when it comes to deck building because I don't just want to like net deck the latest and greatest and then take that to locals. I like to try to put my own spin on the game, and there's a ton of cards, a ton of options that you can use to construct your decks. So I was fiddling with my deck on the way up. I don't think this is the ideal sideboard, but I did cover the bases here. So I've got 2 more Focused Flames, so I want to be able to, again, in the ally heavy matchups, maybe switch to a little bit more of a grindier game and be able to keep the table clear of my opponent's allies, especially since I'm damaging myself with the Clumsy Apprentice for 2, and then I'm taking 1 off the Fate Stone, and then I'm gonna, get hit with other random stuff. I need to be able to keep the allies in control. I'm playing 3 copies of Flame Wreath Call, so this is good because, again, your opponent's dumping a lot of allies onto the board. If you control a beast ally, you're going to be able to play this for 2 and then deal 3 damage to up to 2 target allies. One of those allies can be Suzaku, so this is another way to swing with him for 4 and then Flame Wreath Call to blow him up and then put him back down on the table by banishing 3 from grave and come in and swing for another 4 damage. So there's multiple uses for this card. And then I have 3 copies of Shatter the Brittle. I think this card is good for picking off those key pieces of regalia, weapons. One of the guys, Billy, that I've talked about plenty of times in my videos, ENTP Duelist, check out his channel. He was playing Water Diana, so Shatter the Brittle is great when he tries to load Shadow's Twin, and then I'm just going to destroy it, and he cries. And then I have 1 copy of Lava Plume Fatestone, because again, I was fiddling with my deck in the backseat of the car, which sounds worse than it actually is, on the way to the venue. And I had 1 copy of this floating from the ratios that I chose for the other stuff in the main deck. I was thinking about playing the, it's not Relic of Burning Embers. It's a 2-cost fire drop. I don't have my cards on me to discuss it, but yeah, when a fire ally hits your opponent, you can banish it to deal 3 damage, and then it has floating memory as well. It's not Relic of Burning Embers. Can't remember what it's called. Sorry guys, you'll find it on the index. Maybe you're familiar with it. Then we've got 1 copy, because that's all you can have for regalia, of Nullifying Mirror. So this is going to turn off things like Veiling Breeze. It's going to help you with Imbue, turn off some of the Imbue stuff. So Nullifying Mirror is really good. And then Censor of Restful Peace is really good as well. So you're just going to completely eliminate floating memory and other cards in graveyards abilities. So one of the matchups that I played was heavily reliant on floating memory. It was a Fire Djinn. I didn't really need to side this in because I was doing well and ended up winning the match. But this definitely would have made a big difference for some of the other floating memory dependent strategies. So it's going to stop things like Frostworn Paladin. It's going to stop, obviously, again, other floating memory effects and other graveyard abilities. So, thanks for putting up with that. Once again, first time doing a deck profile. I know it's not ideal. It is not the optimal list, but it did work for me and I placed well. So, you know, again, if you have any comments on the cards that I played, some suggestions, or what have you been doing with Fire Goja that has been successful, please let me know down in the comments below. And that's it for that. So I did end up getting some prizing from this event. So I did get a HVN booster box and I got a Diao-Chan recollection deck. For those of you that are familiar with the channel or know me at all, like, I already have all the cards, so I am going to open this booster box. Hopefully there's going to be some cool singles in there, or maybe a little spicy something CSR that we're going to be able to get. The Lubu Collector Ultra Rare. Man, would that be cool to win a box that contained a really expensive card like that. But we're going to open this stuff, and I hope that we get something really cool to capture on camera, because that has been the track record with openings on the channel for a long time now. So give me a second here and we will get into checking out the prizing. Okay, so got the camera angles fixed. First things first, we're going to open this entire box of Abyssal Heaven, and I really hope that we get something cool on camera to take away from this. We're going to open all the prizing actually. So I've got this booster box, then there's the recollection deck that's got a couple packs and the potential to hit the box topper, which I would really like to have. It's a nice CSR in there. Potentially cool foil stuff that we could be hitting in these booster packs, some CSRs. Maybe I'll get something I need. Otherwise, it's going to be great singles for the store. Then we have a Sapphire pack here. We're going to be opening the Sapphire pack. So this contains foil versions of the stuff from the recollection decks that you can't get in booster packs. The Portentous Tengu is what we're looking for in that, which I did pick up a foil one, and then, I mean, there was no way I could know that I was going to win another Sapphire pack at the end of the tournament. So hopefully we'll get one in there, otherwise something else cool that I can use for my Goja deck. And then we do have the Nationals invite card in the case here that I want to open up and check out, because this is my first time winning something of this caliber. So we're going to open all the stuff. We're going to start with the booster box. Let's go. And right off the bat, Art of War. Perfect. So I think that's like the third copy I have available in the store right now. Retroplay Games on the Discord, guys, if you need singles and other places local to you are not able to supply them for you, hit me up. I'll take care of it for you. We're just kind of going to go through and like quickly open this, because we already did several cases of this set, and there's no need to stop and take a look at every card. We are essentially looking for, okay, that's pretty sweet, a foil Zhang He, Cloak of Night, and Zhou Yu. So yeah, foils are definitely something that I do need to keep for myself, because I don't have that one in particular. First two packs, bangers. Can we get a CS? Oh man, a CSR Fate Stone would be absolutely awesome. Try Stable Master there. I'm not even going to separate these like some kind of heathen. I'm just going to set aside the stuff that's cool that I want to keep, and then figure out the rest of it later on. I don't want to be spending a billion hours making this video. Captain Archer. Once again, big thank you to Weebs of the Shore for putting this event on, for our judges, and for the venue for hosting it. Everything was awesome. I had a great time. I love going up to Toronto. Clammy Baby is in a really cool section of the city. There is tons of food around. So we had pho for lunch, noodle soup, and then there was Japanese restaurants, Korean restaurants. Like, you couldn't walk down, you know, a couple steps down the block without running into some food. So big shouts to everyone, and for the prizing as well. That's what I was mostly getting at here. Weebs of the Shore for putting on the event, providing the prizing. Clammy Baby for putting on the event, providing the prizing. We got Natural Order for the SR there. can't wait. We got our store championship coming up here at Retroplay Games. That's going to be within the next couple of weeks. Round Exorcist, so we have a chance to win a really cool collectible promo from that. We're going to be getting our card that escapes me. The foil stamp promo. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. Ooh, okay. Foil Arcane Blast. Sick. That's actually really cool. And Changban. Frostbind. Foil stamped Frostbind. There we go. Come on, brain. We can do this. Actually, yeah, that Foil Arcane Blast is really cool. Sirius Command. Another SR there. I think I need a Diao Chan level 2. No, Roja level 2 foil, so that would be cool to see as well. Sorry for the lack of focus on the camera there. Kingdoms Divide and Da Chao. This card is bonkers. Allies with frenzy counters on them. We talked about this before, but you can put a frenzy counter on target ally and then empower X. So I do want to try Fire Kongming. But even if she dies, the frenzy counter is there. You can put another copy of her back out, and the frenzy counter thing still applies because they don't go away when she dies. Card is really good for locking down those ally-heavy strategies. Felicitous Flock. We do have a guy at our locals that's playing the birds, which I think is great. Really cool strategy. Byako Goja there. Suzaku's Command. Searing Truth and Harness Lightning. I think we got one more potential foil. There we go. Come on, camera. You can do it. Revealing Mesmer. Can't really cut my hand behind it. Somebody mentioned that before. When I'm fanning the cards out like this, but I have to fan them because those really nice, good cards that we want get stuck to the back of other stuff, and then you find them in your book later that you may or may not give away to other people at the store. So check your bulk, folks. Oh, okay. Aphotic Ruin. I love the art on this card, and I've actually been collecting up foils for that. So I'm happy to have that. And a Stifling Trap. Great card. Really good foils, this box. Cannot complain. And Blood Shroud Temper. Target weapon gains Omni Shroud. Yep, very familiar with that after my Jin matchup. So the matchups that I played, might as well talk about that too. There's no script here, so I'm just kind of going off the cuff with this stuff. Shanghai, we got 2 in the box. Sweet. So the first match was into Fire Rai. I was able to win that handily. Unfortunately, Rai just does not have it right now. Lots of people coping with him out there because there was a lot of arcane support in the set and a Tidebreak Sentinel to finish off the box. There was a lot of arcane support in this set, but the particular variant of Ride that I played just did not have it. The next matchup was into a Wind Arasana. I was able to win that one relatively easily as well. And then I played into a Wind Tristan. That one gave me a reasonable amount of trouble just because I don't have too much exposure to Wind Tristan versus this particular deck that I'm playing right now. So I did lose that round. And then after that was into Lorraine. So Rai, Arasana, Tristan. Then into a Fire Lorraine. Which that deck is also hyper aggressive and throwing damage as fast as possible. So it was a really tight matchup that felt like, you know, essentially whoever high rolls is gonna win. Then after that I went into Fire Jin. That was kind of the same thing where the high roll wins. Like once Jin becomes immortal, it's very difficult to deal with him. Like, the more damage you're laying on him, which is what we're all about here, is pushing tons of damage, the more power he's able to put into the backswing. And then I had Shatter the Brittle in there so I could pop the chest plate, and he's gonna die at end phase. But you wait here. My opponent waited until he had the Omni Shroud card in hand to stop me from being able to do that. I did win the Jin matchup. And then the final round was again against a Fire Lorraine player. Yeah, it was a very great, varied meta. So kind of some of what I expected, kind of some of stuff that I didn't expect. I never ended up playing against a Fractals list. I think those all kind of got teched against and then pushed down lower into the lower brackets, lower tables. So I didn't end up encountering any of them. There was a Water Allen player. There's always some really unique builds, so it was a great meta, a lot of fun. The event was awesome. So that was our booster box there, and then we are going to crack this Diao-Chan Ideal Corsage. The cards from this are going to go to one of the locals who didn't get a chance to pick up Diao-Chan when the Reco decks first came out, so he's going to be able to have a chance at playing the Fractals build, because that's what he does, is play the most annoying stuff. But as a bonus, I get to open and see what's in here. Does not look like we're getting a box topper. That's too bad. I really wanted that. What is it? Shriveling? Not Shriveling Vines. Is it Shriveling Vines? No. Summer's End? I don't know. There's no CSR in here. That's okay. We're going to leave this sealed. It's not in here, is it? I don't know. I've never actually found one before. I'm just going to cover all the bases. I'm pretty sure it's out in the open, but who knows. Yep, that's your... Okay, no, there's definitely no CSR in there, and it's certainly not going to be packed in with the sleeve. So we did not hit a CSR, but we could still hit a CSR from these booster packs. So let's open them and see what we get. Yan Shao, Crown General. Let's go. Let's go. Janye, Don's Keep. Last pack magic. Last pack magic. Come on, let's go. We want that CSR. Ooh, a Blitz Charger. Okay, so we got a foil. Like, it's not a total loss. Blitz Charger foil. It's really nice. That card's cool. Another 3/1. I did think about it, but it doesn't have any like additional effect that's going to help me. And a Ral wins Sentinel there to close it out. So 4 foils that I care about for my collection. I did also, as a side note, want to show off my favorite pickup. I always, buying and trading and stuff. So I was able to convert some stuff into a foil Imperial Seal. I think the art on this card is beautiful. When the camera will focus and show it properly, there we go. The artwork on this is beautiful. The Mortal Ambition full foil poster that I got for the promo kit for the store is this. And I was like, yeah, I think this card eventually somebody's going to break it and do something bonkers with it, because you can get all basic elements enabled for you. And it's an ultra rare full art first edition foil, and it is a Divine Relic. So in my quest to complete the set of Divine Relics in foil, had to pick this up. Big shout out to the guy that hooked me up with this. Thank you so much. I love it. Okay, next we've got the Sapphire pack. So this is our chance at redemption to get a bonkers pull. Maybe we're going to get a Tengu. Maybe we're going to get something usable in my deck. I think there could be CSRs in here. I don't know. I'm not sure what's in the Sapphire packs overall. I don't get a chance to open too many of them. Oh, okay, so it's a Luxem card. Let's not damage it. What is it gonna be? Foil Heavenly Drake. Really cool artwork on this card. Spell Shroud, Vigor, On Death, Recover 3. It's a 3/3. Beautiful. Stone of Heaven. Really cool. Love getting foil Fate Stones. Can't complain about that whatsoever. Good Sapphire pack. It's not the Tengu, but I did get the Tengu, so, you know, sick. And then, almost last, we have that promo pack there, but I do have a playmat that I got that we should probably look at as well. Let's roll out the playmat before we open up. Our prizing card here. A special playmat given to finalists. And of course, we aren't getting playmats on entry anymore. We're getting binders. So this was the binder for entering into this regionals. It looks like this is kind of printed on, whereas the previous one, which I do have handy here actually, from last season's regionals was like embossed into the cover. So a little bit different there. I like that it's black, honestly. Not that I, you know, have a problem with pink, but I do like this one in terms of being black, but I think the quality overall of this one was better. It's got the hollow foiled lettering. It's embossed into the cover. Like, this was definitely a nicer binder, but got both, so, you know, no problem. Thanks, Weeps. You know, they don't have to do that. Where else are you going to get a binder when you show up for regionals? We did get the new Tony sword as part of our entry, the Proxius Vault card, so that was cool. They didn't have time to include Clarent, obviously, because rushing that to print in time to get it to regionals would have been insane. And then we did get this beautiful playmat as the finalists for regionals 2025. Look at that. Seiryu, the dragon playmat. Earned this. I didn't have to buy it from somebody to get the cool artwork. Guys, again, I'm so pumped. This is awesome. Playmat's awesome. I had a great time. But let's take a look at what's in here. The creme de la creme of Grand Archive prizing. What it is. I know what it is, but alright, here we go. Oh yeah, that is cool. Mandate of Honor, CPR, Regalia item, Cleric accessory. As long as you control a unique ally, each player with influence 8 or more can't draw cards. This is a sick card. NL1. So yeah, this is your Nationals invite. This would get me into the US Nationals. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend that, but I will cherish this card as part of my collection and my experience of getting 7th place at the Grand Archive Regionals in Toronto, Ontario for the HVN season. Not sure if I mentioned up until now that I got 7th place. Maybe I played it up a little bit too much. But yeah, I'm super pumped about this. And that's all I got for you guys. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the GA content. It seems to be what gets the most engagement on the channel. Like, I've done Pokemon, Warhammer, Yu-Gi-Oh, all kinds of stuff. You guys like the Grand Archive content. I want to keep pushing out the Grand Archive content. So the plan is at the store to set up a more permanent space for recording and streaming. And then I want to start pushing out the Grand Archive weekly locals to stream on the YouTube channel. So as well as other content, Yu-Gi-Oh! Flesh and Blood we have going on at the store throughout the week as well. So if you guys are the subs that are in for that kind of content, don't worry, there's going to be a little bit of something for everyone. Maybe some video game content, but like, I don't really have time to play video games, which kind of sucks. But I want to push out more content to you guys, especially Grand Archive, because, you know, it's my baby. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button for info on more awesome content coming to you from Retro Play Games. And until next time, play on and play your best, because I will see you at the tables. I'm going to top the next event. See ya.